guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you that are new, welcome to my channel. So today I will be voicing over one of the lessons that I've done last week. And this last week we've been working on the second step here in the canter. So I'm teaching Hazel how to basically balance herself a little bit more on her rear end or on her back legs, and that will give us a little bit more elevation in the front when we're cantering, as well as more control. So we're just working on that slowly, and I can tell you it's actually looking pretty promising. It's not easy, but it's definitely worth the while. So while I am finishing up the warming up for this lesson, this part of the lesson, I will just keep you guys updated on what happened a little bit before that lesson. So 2 days prior to that video, Hazel got adjusted by her chiropractor. So she's got some good chiropractic work. She was a little bit sore and irresponsive on the right, especially in her neck, and her hips were making her slip a little bit more than usual. So we fixed that up. And she also had the following day, she had a nice appointment with the massage therapist. So she also had a nice full body massage session. And it was her first time ever having this kind of treatment. So I'm really happy and really pleased to report that it really helped her a lot. It really helped to decompress the muscles a lot, the muscle fibers. And so this specific lesson was just the first time back in the saddle after those two therapies. And Hazel was a little bit on the forehand that day. I think it just, needed a little bit more of an adjustment, and I also apologize for the legs and the feet that you'll see in this video. There is somebody just hanging out by the camera while I am filming. So as you guys saw, my coach put a pole down on the ground here for us. The aim of the exercise is just to make sure we have control and that she can go over the pole without any issues. So here I'm just doing a change of lead and going around in the other direction. She didn't do too bad, she just sometimes rushes a little bit into things. So we're working on consistency of the rhythm. And making sure that she's just obviously at the center of that pole, and that's about the exercise. So you will see me back up my horse quite a couple times in that lesson. As I was telling you, she was really on the forehand, which is quite annoying to me at this point, just because I know that she's able to go really nicely in a nice frame and also have some self-carriage, and I don't really want to have to pull her up myself the whole time. But she was really heavy in hand, and I don't know if it's due by caused by the therapies that it just needed a little bit more time to settle. But yeah, she was really on the forehand, dragging me or pulling me even forward. So I'm working a little bit on the backup for that, and then eventually she finally picked herself up, and we're able to move on from there. So two things that I have to consider with my horse that day. There's two things that she does. First, she's really on the forehand. Second of all, she is also behind the bit, and so that really doesn't help to have control. So as you can see here, her head is cranked all the way to her chest. That's not something that we want. But that's also a way for her to kind of avoid the workload and the pressure. So I'm just trying to work with that. But as you can see, I'm pulling her back a lot because she's very on the forehead, very forward. And another thing that she does as well is that she throws her shoulder in or out, or and it's not really helping me because it just blocks the motion as well. And that could be a way for her to avoid exercise as well, but it's just not very desirable. So I have no choice but to back her up and start on over. So until we get a good rhythm, a good consistency in the bend, the shape, and the rhythm, there's really no way to practice the canter at that point because it's worthless. So you really have to make sure that the horse is with you every single step. And once you feel a good release in your hand, that the horse is carrying itself, then you can move on to the next speed. So here my coach just moved the poles a little bit off for us. I must say that this is like a broken pole, so it is very, very short and narrow. So it is also a very precise exercise there. So if I can get her over that pole at the forward trot, that's basically the exercise, without breaking the rhythm or getting her to go faster. So as you can see here, she's picking up some speed quite good. And we missed basically the pole. We didn't go to the center. So I'm trying to hold on here, making sure hopefully that she can relax a little bit, because it's not looking really promising that way. So about there in the lesson, I was getting pretty tired of having her so forward. I gained a little bit of control over time, but she was just so heavy in hand. I was getting really upset and a little bit tired of it, just because it's just so much pressure in my hands, having to hold all of that head and muscle the whole time. I was getting a little irritated by it, so my coach was like, okay, we'll just change it up a little bit. We'll try to see if we can get her to go a little bit more forward and then be a little bit more balanced, and eventually we'll just change exercise if we're not successful, because we've tried, and sometimes if the horse is not with you, there's not much you can do, right? So you only try, you can only try only so much. So after once or twice we had some good attempts at the pole there, it was time for us to change exercise. So slowly we'll be preparing ourselves up a little bit for the canter work. Obviously we're still working on the bend here and getting that canter. So as you can see, it's pretty rushed, and on the forehand, as I was telling you, the forehand just means that the horse is tipping forward on its front legs there. And what happens is, if you have the reins in your hand, it's putting a lot of pressure on yourself as well to stay seated in the saddle and not tip forward with the horse as well. So you really want to make sure you can kind of balance that out. What my coach was explaining to me is that I have to really sit tall and try my best to kind of pull my reins to my hips, so I can keep my position and ask her to change her position. So what we're trying to shift is the heavy load on the front end of the horse. We want to shift it on her back legs. So that's where the balance movement comes from. And she's just showing me here how I should do that, or how I can achieve that, is by making sure that I am not elevating my hands, but I am pulling them all the way to my hips if I can, and that's gonna really, that motion there is gonna help us achieve that balance canter. So after a little bit of clarification on the process here, it's her time to try it out. And as you can see, she's forward, but you can see there's at least a little bit of a different shift here in the horse. And by her like overreacting like that, that's just because she has so much pressure in my hand that when I want to release that pressure to go to a trot or a lower pace, she just breaks out like that. So I'm trying to be as supple and as nice as possible for her to kind of, you know, stop or just go to the lower speed. But at one point she's gonna have to handle her own front end, her own neck, so I can actually, you know, give her a little bit of room to do what I ask, because right now she's just all in my hands. So as soon as the hands are no longer there, obviously everything falls apart. So that's why it's really important. You'll see this is not the best side for her. This is her hardest side, so it is definitely a lot of work in progress, and it is officially the first lesson that we're actually trying this. She's not doing too bad, other than just she's very heavy in hand. So let's pay attention here as when I'm actually picking up that canter. So as you can see, this time she did not bolt forward, but her neck is all the way cranked up. That's just because she doesn't know yet how to balance herself on her hocks, on her back end, and so that's why she's putting so much weight in the front and curling her neck inwards like that, just because I'm pulling my reins to my hip, and then the reflex is to just the head to go with it. She just has to push through it but balance herself through it, and that's you know, that's definitely a learning curve for her, and as well as it is for me, because I have to learn how to slowly release that pressure so she doesn't kind of freak out when I want to ask her for a lower speed. So here I'm already seeing an improvement. She did do pretty good actually. As you can see, she's not fully balanced, but at least you can tell that her front end is doing a little bit better. Her neck is not cranked up in her chest, so that's really helpful. And it's also a little bit better of a reaction on the downward transition as well. So that's just a slight improvement. So every time we try, we get something a little bit different, a little bit better, and eventually we'll get all of this together. So this canter started pretty well and she started to balance pretty good, but we went to the wrong lead, and then you'll see my horse got so upset. I'm just trying to back her up here, and then she didn't want to listen, so she went onto the curb, and then I had to bring her back together because she was just upset. She's like, I don't get this. She was really upset and frazzled by the fact that she thought she was doing good, but she wasn't. And we were asking her to continue and keep going, so she was a little bit, you know, unhappy with it, but it's okay. She carried on like a trooper afterwards. It's just a little bit of resistance at that point, which was actually funny in a way, just because she's obviously not an unruly horse. She's usually a very smart girl, but she is also a perfectionist, I guess, and she's got really obsessed with herself, so that happens as well. So as the lesson progressed here, you can see that we get a little bit more balance, and that's why we keep on breaking apart sometimes. It's just because she's just trying to figure out what we're asking of her, and it's fair enough. I mean, we just gotta give her, you know, a good chance of getting that component, that new element into her brain. So we're just gonna change lead here and see what we can do, because we tried quite a bit on that lead, which was also our hardest side. So this one should be a little bit easier, and we should see some good motions from there. So on that side, although it is our easiest side, we did have a little bit of problem with the shoulders, which she wasn't keeping them in place, so she was just bulging out and in and out, and it's just a little hard for me to just control in this case. So my coach had asked me to move at least 5 feet away from the curb over there and make like a tighter circle, but because I could not get the proper bend in her body, I wasn't even able to steer her away from that curb, so we kept on drifting all the way to the curb. Even if I've tried and tried and tried, really hard not to. It's just the way that her shoulder was just kind of put together, and I wasn't able to correct it for some reason. Even if I gave her leg outside rein, it just wasn't really fixing it. I think it was just her kind of compensating for the therapy she's received. She was just very awkward, as you can see here. Her neck is just like slightly to the side, a little too low, like there's a lot going on in the front end of the horse, which makes it a little bit impossible when the shoulders are just not going along with the rest of the body. There's not much you can do, and it makes it really hard to move forward in a proper manner. So what we're gonna do here is, just because the shoulders are an issue, we're just gonna work a little bit on bend and try to get that bend corrected, and then as soon as we can get some good bend, we're gonna ask again for the canter. So one of my coach's favorite exercise when we have a bending issue is the spiral. So you're gonna just go ahead and just plan in your head or map in your head slightly smaller circle as you go, and then inward and then outward motion. So like that you get like a lot of exercise on the bend. So as you can see, we got a good canter and we ended up pretty nice. It's just that we want to catch the horse before it breaks, and unfortunately, even though this is her better side, I guess it is easier for me to kind of let her break in a way, just because she's so much smoother that sometimes my leg doesn't catch it in time. So I have to get a little bit smarter, a little bit faster at catching this, so we can actually get a proper canter and have it for as long as we want. So here, as you can see, I'm accentuating the bend a lot, and then I asked for the canter. She got the proper lead, but once again, we hit that curb a little bit too close. So what I do here is I'm just persevering, trying to really get that corrected, and I got a little winded from it. I don't know why. I just stopped breathing for like a good half a second to a minute. I was just so focused on getting this together that I just literally forgot to breathe, and I got a little lightheaded, so we had to stop for a second for me to just catch my breath. It's a little hard sometimes when I'm just super focused on something and I really want to succeed. I guess I forget about myself and I just really go in for it, and then that's what happened in this time. So I just got my horse to walk me around for a little bit while I'm just catching my breath. It's the first time ever that it happens on a horse, but it's not the first time that it happens in my life when I'm really not stressed, but I guess when I'm really focused on something that I want to achieve, it just overcomes my brain, and that's the only thing I think about, including forgetting to breathe. So that happens. So now that I got some blood flow going to my brain, I feel a little bit better, and I can continue the lesson. And somehow it seemed like we actually also fixed the bend in the horse, so I'm actually really pleased that you know, I didn't get winded for nothing. So really happy that we were able to fix that shoulder as well. So I'm quite pleased, and then we'll try a couple more times for the canter and see if we can get a good successful one, so we can finish on a good note here. As you can see, we picked it up pretty good, and she was balanced pretty well as well. So my coach didn't want to push too much for it. She called it a day. She said it was really good, and it was short, but it was really good. It was well balanced, and I'm glad that, you know, we were able to accomplish it. So now we're just gonna go on around the arena a little bit and walk and just cool down a little bit, so we can finish off our lesson on a good note. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope that you guys really enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed filming it for you guys, and I hope that you guys can learn on our journey here, teaching Hazel to learn on the dressage and how to collect and how to do all those little elements and key elements that eventually will, you know, come all together and we'll be able to show in a nice fashion. So I hope that you really appreciated this one, because this is a really important step for us, to get that canter really balanced and nice. We were able to achieve a nice lightness and a nice control before, but this is actually the next level in the canter, and I'm actually really excited for it. So stay tuned, because there's more videos coming on this 2.0, the second part of the canter that we have to learn. So I'll see you guys very soon, and in the meantime, enjoy your pony.